Okay, this is All Back to Mine, episode 13. I'm Criztoz, creator of 45 Day DJ with the original 45, as head of the live streams for the 45 Kings, and a talk show host as well. And this is one of my shows, All Back to Mine. And today I have my very special guest, who is Jawa Jones. And there she is. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's great to have you on the show. I know we've spoken a fair bit online, and you were on my radio show, and you've done some stuff for 45 days. So it's great to chat in person, albeit through a screen. But
One
it's
day we'll meet each other in person, Criztoz.
well, yes, and I think at the moment that's looking like the end of March when we do the 45 session at the Star of Kings in King's Cross. So if anyone wants to come along to that, some details come in very soon. Cut class has been organised in that, and I've been putting together the lineup, and yeah, should be fun. So this is All Back to Mine. I'm going to be asking you in due course to play 7 sevens, the equivalent of if I came to your house, flat, wherever you live, and you said, hey, check out these tracks. But we'll come to the first one in a minute. But as a little bit of background, obviously I know a little bit about you and what you do, but in case anyone doesn't, how did you first get into music? What were your sort of inspirations? What's your sort of DJ career and music career like? Tell us about that.
I've actually written
some notes
because I just don't want to forget people's names and sort of thank yous and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess if I were to describe myself to someone who I just met at a party, I would say I'm Jawa Jones. I'm a vinyl DJ based in London, and I'm half Indonesian, half English, which is why the name Jawa, because I was born in the island of Java in Indonesia, and Jones, which is my surname, that's the English side. So it's a combo of, bringing East and West together.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, were you born here, or were you born in Indonesia, or?
No, I was born in Jakarta in Indonesia, and I was there until I was 18, and I moved to Melbourne in Australia, which is why when I talk about Australia, the Australian accent comes out.
I was going to say, yeah.
I like to still be Australian, but I got kicked out because I didn't have enough points in their, point system. I was just like 5 minutes, 5 points for getting from getting it, but I could get those points if I had 100,000 Australian dollars, which is what the lawyer said to me, which I didn't have. Obviously, I was a student then, so I then moved to London in 2002.
Okay, shout out to DJ Nico in the chat. She's been on my part of the my journey show, and yeah, she's done some live streams for us as part of 45 Queens, and also as have you.
We love DJ Nico.
yeah, it's great, and it's good to see. I think, although I've heard some of Canada is going back into lockdown, I think there has been some live events going on over there, which Nico has been putting on, which is good to see, and long may it last. So London from about the age of 18, or did you stay in Australia for a bit and then came to London?
Yeah, so I went to uni in Melbourne in Australia, and then I moved to London in 2002. So I was about 23, just turned 23.
Okay, and were you DJing from what age were you DJing?
Gosh, I literally only started like about 4 years ago, so I'm still a baby. And yes, the addiction of vinyl is it's really hard to beat. But yeah, I got into DJing through an ex when I was living in Munich in Germany, and he's a DJ and promoter, and he's also in a band. And it happened on a Christmas party in a bar. And he just said, oh, why don't you do this with me? And I wasn't sure because I've always been a dancer. I love going to clubs. I've always been into like dancing and clubbing. So I never really thought about it because I've, always loved the DJs taking me on a journey and really just enjoying the music as it is. So I never really thought about going on the other side and actually DJing. So when I did it, it was really like an amazing experience because it was lovely to see the music that you play reacting to the people like straight away. And you can see them, like their face lights up, they start dancing, putting their arms in the air. It was just a really lovely feeling. So I got hooked. since then.
That's great.
So that was 2017.
Yeah, a couple of things out of that. So I see you've only got the 3x3 unit there.
Yeah,
I think you'll
I've
soon
got
be on
boxes down here. It's
I was going to
all,
say,
you know.
soon be on the 5x5, which is what I've got, which I'm looking at the moment. And that's just 12-inch records and other stuff. And then you mentioned dancing. We've seen, obviously, I've seen the streams that you've done for us, and obviously, unlike us dad dancers who are standing behind the decks, you know, you can actually dance. And you also had some little animations, I think, on your decks, which is which added quite a lot of fun to the sets.
I've got to do a shout out to Damon, my boyfriend. He's the guy behind it. He's the one who sort of had the idea of, because, you know, like in the 60s scene, there's go-go girls. And then we talked about, like, because I said to Damon, I would love to like do a club night and have go-go boys instead of go-go girls. And then we ask a couple of my friends to film them like go-go dancing, male friends, and then Damon basically did some magic and then made them into little people dancing on top of decks, which unfortunately you won't see tonight, but it will be usually it happens when I'm doing live streams, DJ live streams.
Okay, so they're real people that you know or that Damon knows.
Okay, all right. They're all my friends and also Damon's friends.
That makes it even better. I thought it was just some, some random people you'd found and edited together. Because I've got a little Stormtrooper one when I play some breakdancing music that dances across mine that Waxwork me. But no, that's very cool. Okay, we'll come back to a few points there in due course. But as I said, the show's about you playing 7/7s. So let's go with your first one. What's your first choice this evening? What is it? Why have you chosen it?
So the first one is something that I'm sure a lot of people have heard or read about me writing about it and heard me talk about it. It's also written in your blog, and it's a record I bought from DJ Honey. And one of the things you asked me is like, who inspire you? And I would say DJ Honey from Singapore inspires me every day. She's an amazing human being, as well as a tremendously talented DJ and radio host, and super lovely lady. If you ever meet her in person, and she's in Singapore. She lives in Singapore, and she has always been supportive of me doing what I do. And the inspiration behind Juanita is from her radio shows. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and then Girls in the Groove, which she does for Soho Radio, which you can hear on Mixcloud, as well as in the Soho Radio Mixcloud account. So I listened to her her shows while I was in Munich when I was living there. And I was just like, wow, this woman is incredible. And she's a female DJ playing female fronted music, female records. And I just got really like inspired and blown away by her shows, that I was like, I can do that. I can DJ like she can DJ. So, and then I thought about the Juanita night, and I was doing also female fronted music in the night that I started in Munich in 2018. And this record I bought from her some time ago, and it's by an Indonesian, from Surabaya, which is where it's a town in Java where my mom is from. And so it's a special record because it's sort of signifies my friendship with Honey, but also the fact that it's an Indonesian artist called Irvana, and she sings it with a band called the Stylers, which I believe is a band from Singapore. It's like a instrumental band, surf band, who were huge in the 60s. And this is a particularly interesting song that I play because it's a cover song. And I'll see if you can recognize who the original artist is. Shall I play it?
Yeah, I love covers, so I'm looking forward to this.
I never met a man who makes me feel the way that you do. You're alright. Whenever I mess who make my dreams real, I say that you do. You're out of sight. So 3, 5, 4, 4. I look down, baby, 'cause here I come. And I'm letting you love the truth. So get ready, get ready. I gotta try to make a love to you. So get ready. Wow, I'm on the way.
Okay. Did you guess who it's the original artist is by?
I know the track and I know it, but I don't know who does it originally.
It's Smokey Robinson.
Of course.
Get ready.
Yeah. It's a classic track and being
Yeah.
covered, but that's a great cover. That's a really great cover. We'll talk about DJ Honey in a second. I'm just going to say shout out. We've got DJ Blush in the house. We've got
hello, Brett.
Paul Sitter, Tommy T. Yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome. If you can host, that'd be great. You know, tick the host button. Yeah, hold on. Let me get that onto single and we can see if we can. Yeah. There you go. That's a great cover as well. Wow. What year is that from?
This came out, I think, it's a good question. Maybe 1970.
Okay.
Early 70. Yeah.
How you vibing with DJ Mono? Yeah, DJ Honey is important in my sort of journey through all of this as well, because when I first did 45 Day, which was back in 2020, seems like a long time ago now. At that time, I'd reached out. I wasn't sort of as you know, embedded in the community and knew as many people as I do now. And at that time, I'd sort of put feelers out, but I just didn't get any female DJs. And one of the only minor criticisms, gripes I had about 45 Day came from DJ Honey saying, there's no female DJs, because I'd mentioned it in my about thing saying, you know, where's all the female DJs at? And she said I needed to make a bit more effort to try and get people involved. And so I did.
Good on her.
And, you know, she gave me a list of people, and then those people gave me a list of people, and then other people gave me a list. And, you know, even yesterday, you know, we did a live stream yesterday and we had Jazz Nasty and Les DJ in the chat, and they were saying, you know, let's get some more. So I messaged them and I said, right, you know, I've got some, but, you know, give me some more. And I've messaged a few today. So hopefully this year we'll have even more female DJs. You know, one day, hopefully we'll get to sort of a 50-50 split, but we'll come back to that in a minute, because that's one of the sort of questions that we're going to talk about. Right. Number two, you've mentioned about your family heritage, obviously half Indonesian, half British. How did that feed into, obviously you've played us an Indonesian track, but how did that, you know, growing up, were you listening to a lot of Indonesian music? Was it just Indonesian music, or did you have influences from other countries as well?
Do you know, it's interesting when you living in Jakarta and being born there, I just listen to Western music. Like my dad was playing Phil Collins, Genesis, is it Led Zeppelin? Well, yeah, sometimes Led Zeppelin, and a lot of Queen, UB40. So not the best in my, you know, it's
all right.
questionable.
Some Queen's okay, but yeah, I know what you
some Queen is fine, but like it's not. I wish I had like, you know, a really cool upbringing where my parents were like mods or, you know, like rockers. But no, they were just ordinary like people. My mom weren't really big on music. And I didn't, unfortunately, listen to a lot of Indonesian music growing up. Like the love of appreciating Indonesian music, traditional Indonesian music, came much later when I, you know, start digging and getting really sort of serious into like learning about, you know, the Indonesian culture a bit more. I think when you live there, I was an MTV kid. Like I grew up watching a lot of MTV. So a lot of the music and that I listened to were based from what I saw in MTV. So I grew up in the 90s as a teenager. So I was watching, you know, I was a big fan of Pearl Jam, L7, lots of grunge and a bit of, you know, sort of like punk. So yeah, and a bit of Snoop Dogg as well in the 90s. So yeah, so it was influenced more by MTV and also my friends in school. I went to an international school, so no one was listening to Indonesian music there. They were all like American music.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Snoop with a little bit of a not criticism, but you know, is hip hop something you're into now, or not really?
No, the reason why I said that is because what's the album that came out in '94? A Dog Pound.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like I love that album, but being a feminist now, I'm like, It's just, I mean, I still love that album, and I do know some of the words still from the songs, but it's like, can I really, you know, it's a tricky one. It's a different time, but yeah.
It's also very strange seeing him on, I think it's the Just Eat adverts.
Yes, I know, but I do.
And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I still admire him. I do, you know, I think he's a fantastic artist, such a clever and, you know, entrepreneur, and he's just brilliant, and he's timeless. You know, he's lasted all these years, and he's not dead yet, so which is great. He's not been shot, like, you know.
No, exactly. He lasted a lot longer than some other rappers. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say a big shout out to Mr. Lob, who's in the house. It's early morning. I think it must be 7 a.m. maybe in Australia.
Wow, thank you for getting up early and watching me and Criztoz chat.
Yeah. And it's Uber Eats. It's I think it's Just Eats. Is it Just Eats or Uber Eats? Anyway,
I thought it was Just Eats. He's so good.
Maybe it's Uber Eats in Australia, but other delivery places are available. But it doesn't anyway. Okay. Track number 2. What's your second choice today?
So this song that I'm about to play is by Dorothy Berry. And Dorothy Berry was married to her high school sweetheart called Richard Berry. And he's the person who wrote Louie Louie. You know, that famous song. It's covered by the Sonics. It's covered by a lot of artists. Yeah. And interestingly, when I was because I played this in the radio show, when I was looking into the background of the song, he sold that song to cover for their wedding, to pay for their wedding. Not knowing. And I think sold it for like $750. Not a lot, obviously, in comparison to how big it is. But and I bought this record from another female DJ called Lady Kamikaze. And she's Japanese. She used to run one of the most amazing club night in London called the Lady Luck Club, and also Black Cotton Club. Okay. And it's Lady Luck Club is like a 1950s, 60s, 40s vintage club, and they just play like original vinyl only, and like it would invite like lots and lots of people from all different like genre groups of people, like subcultures would show up, not just like rockabillys. It's like goths, people wearing fetish, there's drags, there's all sorts. And I remember discovering the club and was just blown away about how cool the music was and how amazing the people were in the club. And it lasted for several years. Unfortunately, her husband, Nino, who's also a fantastic DJ, passed away suddenly, and due to cancer, I think, on the gut. But she has been DJing a bit since then. Unfortunately, both clubs had to close, and but she doesn't really DJ so much now, which is a shame. But she's sold some records to me, which is incredible because I used to love going to her clubs, and here I am now playing like records that I've purchased from her. So it means a lot to me in that sense. Yeah,
that's great. That's a great story. Yeah, but let's listen to it.
Okay.
Ow! 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 Stop it! You're driving me crazy. The way you're treating me. You know you're driving me crazy. Now, baby, can't you see? The way you lie, the way you're running around, just telling everybody how you put me down. But I'm about to lose my mind. I say you're driving me crazy. I'm about to go insane. 'Cause every time you hold me and squeeze me tight, you whisper in another girl's name. But I know that my love is blind, but I didn't think that you could treat a dog so unkind. But I'm about to lose my mind.
Okay. I love the beginning of that song because the shout, it always, when I play it in a club, everyone just turns around and be like, what the hell? So yeah, that's one of my favorite songs.
Well, as Mr. Lob says, he's awake now. If he wasn't awake 10 minutes ago, he is now. That's another
more screaming coming, in the choices that I've made today.
That's another great track. Cheers, first of all. It's nice to be having a drink. I think
it's not 7 o'clock in the morning here, just so you know.
It's 20 past 8 at night. I think when Honey's played on the 45 Kings a couple of times, there's always a nice glass of red sitting next to her.
Or a pint sometimes, a pint of lager.
Pint of red wine, yeah. I think she's hopefully going to come on the jazz show, Bright as the Sun, that the 45 Kings run and Mr. Lob runs. Another thing I'm going to pick up on your headphone. So you've got one of those telephone ones, as has Sarah Stefan, and inspired by that, my daughter's Easy 45. My brother makes stuff, so she's got one as well.
Ah, nice. Yeah, this is given to me by Ben, who is a partner of Serena, who's also a female DJ called Les Petite Feet. She lives just down the road. So Ben's like a whiz with making these things. So it was a present from him. Yeah.
Well, it's the same. My brother is very good at making things. So this is hers. And
oh wow, that's incredible.
So we had the phone. We had the phone sitting around.
Yeah.
And then I just told.
I know it's a bit hipster, like twat thing to do this, but you know, it's that or like the lollipop, whatever you call it. And this looks a little bit more sleek and stylish.
That does look a bit more stylish. I think Benny Goggs in Worthing has got one of those lollipops, which is just like a stick, and that.
Yeah.
It depends what you do. You know, it's fine for ZZ. She just cues up and then plays. I tend to DJ in my headphones, so I have to wear proper headphones. But yeah, that's great. Okay, number 3 in terms of questions. So you've played 2 tracks for us, but in terms of your DJ sets, when you do live streams or when you get to DJ out, what sort of music do you feature? I know a lot of it's female fronted. What particular styles within that sort of?
So I DJ at various events. So at Juanita I do female fronted music, but sometimes I also still play a lot of female fronted music because I just have a lot in my collection. So it's various. So Juanita, when I run it, or when I do Juanita events, it's female fronted music from like the 50s to the 80s. So in like soul, northern soul, Motown, post punk, rock, garage, so just a variety really. And I and invite the DJs who come and do the events to do the same. So it can be any genre, just as long as it's female fronted music. But I also do garage nights. So I did a night recently in Helgi's bar called Queens of Fuzz, which again inviting female DJs, but this time they don't have to play just female fronted music, which is what I do at Juanita. They can play music by both men and women, and that particularly focus on garage, 60s garage punk, or garage rock, and freak beat, rock, like sort of raucous rock and roll, like really, like Little Richard, diddly Bo Diddley Squat. And then so like garage bands would be on those nights would be like The Shadows of Night, We Are People, so quite sort of 60s, like 60s, 66 to 69, 68, that's 60s garage. But like whatever, it's a mixed bag. I'm not like precious with like I'm playing specific kind of, but I like that I've got like the rocky side and I've got like the soul, like chill side as well. So yeah.
And obviously we've mentioned Honey. I mean, which other sort of female DJs have you had at your events?
So I've had Serena, her name is Les Petites Feet. She runs Sacarella Club in London with her partner Ben. And I've had Becca, who is known as Sunday Girl, DJ Sunday Girl. And I've had her, pardon?
I've messaged her about 45. I think she's going to do a mix Sunday.
Oh, wicked. Excellent. Yeah, she's great. She's fantastic. She does more like country, which and again, I love the sort of variety. So she would play, country, blues, grassroots, kind of bluegrass, kind of sets, which I like the variety of. And then who else have I had? Maya, who she does more sort of soul music, and she does mod events. And I'm just trying to remember, but I've had Honey. Yeah, I think my memories. Yeah, Honey did it as well. Honey came from Singapore. Yeah. And
in terms of the people who come to the crowd, are we talking a is there youngsters coming along to this and embracing this sort of music for the first time? Is it a mix, or is it slightly older generations, or what
So
crowd you get?
I've only run Juanita twice here in London, and then I was going to do a third event, but then the pandemic happened, and then I haven't really done club nights since then, mainly because I used to do it at Helgi's Bar, and I don't think Helgi's Bar is appropriate bar for that kind of music because it's a heavy rock bar.
Right.
I did do the Queens of Fuzz night there because I thought that would be more appropriate with the kind of vibe of the bar. But I have done events where, I DJ'd at the King's Cross Vintage Fair, and I would have a Juanita set there. And so it's great because of the variety of the genres that the DJs play. It attracts young and old people. But yeah, it's I think I'm trying to keep it open so it's accessible to people. So whereas the Queens of Fuzz is more niche because it's about 60s, sort of garage rock and also 70s rock as well. But I don't know. I find it quite tricky finding a good bar in London that would attract people, and I'm sure you've experienced this, and a lot of other DJs have experienced this.
Finding the right venue is a problem sometimes.
Yeah, and then I play at the Strong Room quite a lot, and it's crazy because I'll have people coming over to the DJ booth and saying, "Can you play some Drake?" And now I know the perfect answer to that is, if you can give me the record to play, I shall play it. And then obviously no one's going to carry a record by Drake. I don't even know if he has the music on vinyl. I'm sure he does, but no one's really going to take that with them when they go out. So I get people asking me when I'm playing soul music, what is this? Can I dance to this music? And I'm like, this is what Beyonce's music is inspired from. So you kind of have that kind of people you deal with when you DJ at certain venues in London. So yeah.
And DJ Blush is saying, I see the Drake problem is international. And Rob says, I just say no. I mean, to be fair, I have sort of missed DJing out. I'm not DJing out as much as I was, it was sort of pretty much weekly before the pandemic. But I don't miss that side of it. And I think a lot of the other DJs are saying that, playing on Twitch and doing live streams, you tend to get, obviously because you're playing to other DJs and music lovers, oh, what's this track? Not please play this. You very rarely get requests, or if you do get a request, it's normally something that fits in with what you're playing, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that is great, I'll play that. But it's a problem. And Constance says, yes, you can tap your foot. Cool.
I mean, when I played in Munich, because I started the night in Munich, the Juanita night, I was DJing at a dive bar, and you get all sorts of people. I guess because again, the clientele of the dive bar was mainly late 20s to 50s, 60s. Well, probably not 60s, maybe 50s, but yeah. So again, it's because I play different genres of music, so it attracts different people there.
Yeah. It's it's a tricky thing to deal with. As DJs, we have to deal with sometimes, unfortunately.
I think it's a balance. I think, when I'm sure everyone experiences as well, you have to play the bangers, the big music, hits, the big hits that people are aware of. And then you put in between some kind of not so famous songs that people might not know. I can't
remember who was saying it. I think I don't know if it was in the show somewhere else. I think it's basically for every 3 tracks you play that people don't know, you got to chuck one in that people will know, just to sort of bring them back a little bit and then get them on the dance floor. Hopefully keep them for the next 2 or 3. But it's Constance K. There you go. I knew someone had said it. Every 3. There you go. Every 3 you have to play a banger or something that people will know. Great. Okay. So talking of 3s, we're on number 3. What's your third choice?
So the third choice is a 60s garage band by it's a girl group garage band called Kim and Grim. And it's from 1965. Now, the story behind this record, it was sold to me by my dear friend Cosmic Keith, who's a DJ, promoter, and just a really important person in the London rocking scene, which is the 50s scene in London. And he's been around for a long time. Unfortunately, he passed away suddenly a couple of years ago, and he suffered from depression. So it was really, really shocking. And he was very supportive and always been very supportive of me and other female DJs as well in doing what we're doing. And I bought this record from him along with a few others, and so this is a shout out for him. His birthday, it would have been his birthday tomorrow, so I wanted to play this in memory of him.
Okay,
good
choice.
There you go. That was Kim and Grim, called Lonely Weekend.
That's another great choice. Tito Funk's loving that, as is Mr. Lob and Nico. I love this show because people just bring on music that I've never heard before, and it's brilliant. And obviously the stories that go with it are so important, especially all the stories you're saying, and it's the memories of you knowing where you've bought it, who you've bought it off, the reason you've bought it, and again, what year is that from? I mean, that must be
that's 1965.
Yeah, exactly. So that is 56 years old.
Yeah,
like that. It's crazy, isn't it? And again, we've talked about it. It's crazy that we're playing music that has been around, that's older than some of us, who play it. And especially when the kids are playing it as well. When you've got the 45 kids playing, really old tunes. Another great choice.
Thank you.
Moving on. Radio show. You've talked briefly about it. You host a radio show. Where can we hear it? Again, what does it promote? How long have you been doing it? And how does it compare? Presenting a radio show compared with like doing a live stream or doing a DJ set.
Well, so I started doing radio through a friend who's actually was introduced to me by DJ Honey. His name is Ricky, and he does a regular show at Soho Radio called Monoloco Mixtape, and he invited me to do a show under as a Monoloco show for him. And it was my first ever stepping into a studio in Soho Radio, and I was shitting myself because I've never done it before. And he showed up late, and it was super stressful because I just had to jump into the deep end and figure it out, because it's this is the button, this is turn it on, and then off you go. And then I'm like, what? So I figured it out, I guess. And then because he was late, I thought I could carry on doing the show for I think it was 2 hours? It was 2 hours. And then I had to be kicked out at a certain time because, and I just about to play a record, and then the guy next who's doing the show after me was like, you need to leave. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then I had all my records everywhere. But it was just a funny experience if you look back. I mean, it was a bit stressful during the time, and then since then, the pandemic happened, and so I had to record it at home. And so I've done about, I don't know, gosh, I think I made a note of it. I think I've done about 11 shows for Soho Radio, for Monoloco Mixtape. And then I got approached by Lee, who runs Barrel House Radio in October. You know him. And he asked me to do a show for him. So I decided to do the Juanita Music Show, which started in November a year ago. And then, and I've done about 24 shows, and the Juanita Music
Wow.
Show is basically about female-fronted music. It's all about promoting women in music. I play female-fronted music, and I also invite women involved in the music industry, so to talk about their favorite records and also chat about their experiences, working in the music industry. So I've invited people who are like drummers, a person who worked in a record shop, music blogger, a female festival promoter, singers, guitarists, DJs. So I've had lots of people, lots of really interesting women. And I've had Sister Cookie as well, who's an amazing London-based artist. And listening to them, like what we're doing now, their stories and choosing their favorite records is just such a lovely experience. And you get to learn more about them as a person, which is also a bonus.
Yeah, definitely. Couple of things out of that. I mean, yeah, I know Lee, because I did, I think 6 months. I did shows on Barrel House Radio. Did you make it to the meetup? Was that a few weeks ago?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
That was fun.
How was it?
It was good. And Lee and Jake, who run the radio station, are just lovely blokes, super nice. And I met a few other DJs as well who do their shows at the station, and they're super friendly. It's just such a nice bunch of people. Yeah,
they seem to. I was hoping to get there, but unfortunately Southern completely cancelled all their trains.
Yeah,
it was just a nightmare. I didn't have a car that weekend.
Hopefully I told them to do it again in like the summer. Hopefully by then trains wouldn't be so shit. But yeah,
and the summer would be nice. Find some find a decent venue that's going to let us play our little records to some people. And in terms of the guests that you've had on, are these people that you've known for a long time, or are they people you've sort of reached out to who you didn't know, and then you had them on as guests and got to know about them?
So far it's only the people I know from going out in the scene, sort of in the sort of vinyl scene, and so I'm aware of them. I haven't really asked, I have started asking, but it's quite scary because they don't know who you are, and it's like kind of cold calling. Like, hiya, you don't know me, but do you want to do a show? So yeah. But anyway, if you know any cool, inspiring women that work in the music biz, drop me a line. I'd love to, chat with them and get them in the show. So yeah.
I think you should definitely do it. I think it was Simon Hoo-Ha, a guy, one of the DJs who was one of the first DJs in 45 Day, and he just said, just ask and see what happens. And it's pretty much what I've been doing. There's a lot of people I just don't know. You sort of message them and say, look, this is what I want. This is what I do. Are you interested? And it's amazing. 99% of people come back and say yes, or the odd one will say, well, I can't, I'm too busy. But I think everyone's just happy to share, and especially if you're sharing a love of vinyl and music, vibes, whatever it is, it's that. And here's Les, the DJ, tuned in as well. We're talking about you a little bit earlier, Les. Okay, so I think we're on number 4. I sometimes lose count on these, but I think we're on number 4.
I think we're number 4. So this record is by a Malaysian band called the Fabulous Falcons, and I discovered it from one of these. I bought because I really love I was saying, we're talking about earlier, rediscovering traditional Indonesian music, but I also started getting into more Asian music. And then I found it in one of the comps that I purchased, and I was blown away by the song and the composition of it. And it was written by Christopher Chung, who is the lead guitarist of the band. And this is again the band from the 60s. And I mean, I like it. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but we'll have a listen, and you can have a chat about it and tell me what you think.
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Okay. I love that song.
Well, there's so much going on in it. It's brilliant. I mean, that sort of noise intro, and then
Yeah.
obviously it breaks into the surf. And I think, as Mr. Lob said, it sounds like the shadows on acid.
Yeah. So it's called Midnight. That song is called Midnight Express. And I bought this from a Malaysian seller. And look at this. It actually smells like my old like spare room full of junk in my, like when I lived in Jakarta, where it's just full of, it's you can tell it's been eaten by rats.
Yeah.
But and it smells like it's like cockroaches actually. But but you know, it's authentic.
Yeah. What year?
But luckily the record's in good nicked, you know. But yeah.
What year is that one from?
That is, I think, hold on, I think I've got it here written down. It's 1960s. I think I didn't write it down. It's 60s, mid 60s.
And that's Malaysian. And just remind us of the name of the band.
It's called the Fabulous Falcons.
There you go. Leslie DJ told us 1965. The Fabulous Falcons.
Yeah.
Can you hold that a little bit closer to the camera, a little bit further forward? What are they on? They're on each other's shoulders, and what are they holding up, like a statue or something?
It look like they're holding like a bird, like a material, a falcon.
And what's in the background? What's that in the background?
It's just a field. It's like a field. They're in this like a pretty field, and yeah,
and it's the costumes as well. They're all wearing the same. It's
yeah, exactly, which is quite a thing in the 60s, because you know they oh god, this is the thing, I've forgotten to write it down, but there was a famous like the Shadows, exactly, the Shadows were like massive in Southeast Asia in the 60s. And I think they did a tour in Singapore, and it just like since then, when he arrived in, I can't remember the lead singer of the Shadows, but yeah, is he? Okay. And yeah, so they it inspired a lot of musicians in Southeast Asia, and that's why you can hear a lot of these, like the Stylers is another example, which is a surf band, instrumental band from Singapore. So yeah, that's why you can hear a lot of the similar music with the Shadows.
Yeah, that's great. That's another great choice.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's separate, isn't it? The Gold Digger series you do,
yes,
where you invite female women DJs to sort of talk about their record collecting. So, you know, how did that start? What does that involve? And can you tell us about some of the guests you've had on?
Yeah, sure. So currently it's in the Instagram account, and it came because I just realized like you see a lot of male diggers, and I think, you know, it's important, again, because the whole purpose of Juanita is to promote women in music and female DJs. I thought, well, you know, it's important for us to show as well that women are just as serious in record digging, and have also massive collections and get quite nerdy about it. So that's why I wanted to showcase that through the Gold Diggers photo series, which started, I think, in May last year. I have about 17 diggers, in the account with the photographs. So I asked each of them to take a picture of them with their collection, and then I asked them 3 questions, which is like, introduction of who you are and what's in your record collection. And then the third question is always tailored to them based on like what I know about them. And it could be like, what's the record that you, I can't remember from the top of my head now, but like that you guarantee that will always, bring you a smile and everyone in the rest of the room when you play it. So something like that. Okay. Or like, what's your guilty pleasure collection in your, your record collection. So, but yeah, and I've had I have a list of people, which is probably 2, but I've had like the first gold digger was Les Petites Feet, so I've mentioned her before. I had Miss Phyllis in Hamburg, Lucky Catso in London. She's a reggae DJ. And I've had Andrea, who's from Sao Paulo in Brazil. And I've had Sunday Girl from UK, Anna Goldthorpe from Glasgow, Mete, Copenhagen, Miss Soul Turner from Colombia, and Bogota in Colombia, DJ Honeychild in Seattle, Laura Lurex, Glasgow, and Fraulein Frickbeat, which you know as well. And then Misty in Japan, obviously DJ Honey as well, and Nico, who's still hopefully still tuning in here, and Caroline Dan, who's runs Rhythm, Soul, and Funk collective, and then Stina, who's also another DJ from Copenhagen. So yeah, loads of people.
Yeah. So I said to you earlier, give me a list of DJs. Now some of those I have already been in contact with, and they've been on streams and things. But yeah, I will look into those, the ones that I haven't. You mentioned Fraulein Freakbeat, Sarah. She's coming on the show, I think in March.
Her collection is insane. Like she is proper, like serious collector, and she has been going to fairs for like, and she's like serious. She would like message band members from MySpace back in the time when MySpace was a thing, and she would like chat, having friendships with them to like learn more about their music, their back catalog, and all of that. And she's serious collector. She's so impressive, and she's a great DJ as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's, I think maybe three times she's now been on the 45 Kings Collective channel. I think she did the Germany stream. I think it's the first time. I think Chris Pop introduced her, and then she's done, I think, 2 of the 45 Queen sessions. But love her sets. That's great. Okay, so I think we're on to number 5.
So I'm moving on to 60s Garage again. This is a band that, like many other 60s Garage rock bands in the time, in the 60s, in the mid 60s, a lot of them only like released 1 record and 1 EP, and then that's it. You don't hear from them anymore, which is why a lot of these records cost a lot of money. This one in particular isn't expensive. You can still get it like less than £500. It's insane. This is why I wish I started collecting when I was like 5 years old.
Don't we all?
Because who can afford to pay like £500 for just this little record here, and you play 1 song? Yeah,
and it's then you're not going to want to take it out. Well, I suppose you do.
I'm not precious like that. I think I'm not like I'm a DJ and collector. I think if it's I would I'd still play it, but I'd just look after it. Yeah.
no pints near the DJ booth.
Yeah, exactly.
Or ever,
so this band is called the Beaver Patrol, and their song ESP is like basically another cover song. It's a cover of LSD by oh my god. See, this is why I write notes, because I know I would forget. Yes, LSD is originally done by the Pretty Things, and this particular record was released in 1967, and it is, like I said, the only record that they produced, and then they disappeared, sadly. The band disappeared. So every time I play this record at my nights, I always get a lot of positive reaction. People always come to the booth and ask me who this artist is or the band is. So I like playing this record. And it's also a nice example of fuzz. Like, I love that fuzz sound of a garage rock song. So this is a good example of that. So I'll play it for you.
Let's hear it.
How did you like that?
That's another great track. Yeah, I mean I don't have a lot of fuzz, but you know, it's definitely something I'd get into. And yeah, the chat are liking it as well. Chris International, DJ Blush, Vinyl Villain, DJ Nico. A couple of those have been guests on the show, but yeah, I can see why people come up to you, because and I think you were saying that that's like a one-off, isn't it? That's pretty much the only thing they released.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Because yeah, that what makes them very special, and I guess part of record collecting is having something that other people won't have. Yeah, and Mr. Lob says it makes him want to grow a fringe.
What?
He's just had his haircut, I think, isn't he?
Oh, what does record collecting have to do with growing a fringe?
Maybe that song. Maybe he wants to relive the. That was probably was that still 60s, still late 60s?
Yes, that's 60s. Yeah, that's 1967. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, I don't think Mr. Lob was around in 1967.
No.
Okay. We've talked a lot about your Juanita, and obviously female fronted and having female DJs. So, what's it like being a female DJ in what has been, maybe not so much now, but you know, predominantly male DJ and music industry, and what are the sort of pros and cons of that?
So I'll start with the pros. I think the pros would be the community of female DJs that, you know, I've learned and got to know and met through doing Juanita. But it's incredible to see and meet these amazing, talented women across the world doing like similar things, you know. You know, like what I'm doing, Juanita, isn't original. It's been done before many times by other people. And it's lovely to see other collectives, female DJ collectives across, you know, in like Colombia, Los Rulos Vinyl Club, for example, which is where Miss Soul Turner is part of. And they're an incredible group of female DJs. There's also the Wayward's Soul Club, which is also a collective, and they do predominantly soul and rhythm and blues, and sometimes Motown and Motown, and they're based in Seattle. So yeah, and I think the support that you get with other female DJs is just beautiful and wonderful, and we're all working together, you know, to like help each other, promote each other's nights as well as shows. So it's lovely. I think that's a real positive, and also I'm lucky because I've been going out a lot in London, you know, going to clubs, these vinyl clubs, and I've met loads of lovely promoters and DJs through that. And there's fantastic DJs like male DJs, you know, Didiwa, Adam Didiwa and Fritz, who run Buzzsaw, and also the organizers of Weirdsville, Andrew and Alex and Aid. They're really like just also doing their, you know, bit in promoting female DJs, making sure that there's enough, you know, there's like women DJs as well as male DJs. So that's good. I think that's really important to keep, you know, to keep happening. The cons, well, I'm sure a lot of women who are tuning in now and listening to this, I'm sure has experienced this. Being a female DJ, you're like a target for creepy men. You know, like on the dance floor, you get chatted up, sure, but when you're behind the decks, it's like pyong, you know, and then they think that they have the right to kind of go behind the decks and start going through your records, or like, you know, picking records and then just being not very nice, or like, you know, are these your boyfriend's records, or they were like, oh, you're DJing, so don't get that if you're a bloke, which sucks. Then you also have promoters who exploit, you know, female DJs and like use them to promote their night and not really have any good intentions. So you have that as well, which again, you don't get to deal with when you're a male DJ. And I think that's it, you know, like those two main things really, that's a pain, but yeah.
And it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think Rebecca Vassment put some posts recently about very similar things, and she says one of the things is it's difficult as a woman, I'm not a woman, but obviously I can empathize, to speak out or say that this is happening for fear of, okay, you might not get booked again, or you might get a bad name, or you somehow in the industry it's going to affect your career, and it shouldn't be like that. Like you say, although we get drunk people coming over and perhaps trying to grab your record, very rarely will someone come and basically abuse us in that way and say, oh, your wife's or your girlfriend's records, or that just, like you say, would never happen. And it's not right. And I guess by you putting on these events and other people putting on these female DJ events, it just gives that hopefully a safe space for you to just turn up, play your music, and have a good time, without having to worry about all this crap,
I agree. I hope so.
Is it something that, I don't know, is it changing, or is it the same as it was when you first started DJing? So it's just been the same.
It's the same. I mean, it depends also which kind of the bars that you play at. I've had a bloke shout at me because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know what I was playing, because I couldn't name him or like 5 examples of 60s garage bands,
Right.
And so yeah, it still happens, and I just like. I just don't make any eye contact, which it's not nice, because you just want to have a good time at the end of the day. But I don't drink when I DJ because I want to be sure I'm be able to get home safely. No one's gonna hassle me when I'm leave the bar. I've had to slap a guy once. I didn't have the Rolling Stones record that he wanted me to play, and he was about to put his finger on my record to stop the record playing, and I had to slap his hand and be like a school teacher, be like, no, and yeah, it still does, and that was recently, so it still happens, unfortunately.
It's not on.
I need a taser. If it was legal in this country, I'd be like, zzz.
Yeah, it's not on, and yeah, and like you said, unless it's difficult because unless you have the safe space and everyone who's there, or is part of the scene or whatever, you are going to get those dickheads effectively, and people who think they're better than you or think they know better, and that's just simply not on. Certainly not in this day and age, and hopefully things will. I'm sad to hear it's not changing. Maybe it will, but I don't know. We'll have to.
I think it just depends if I mentioned Buzzsaw, which is a night that Fritz runs, and I highly recommend it. It's it changes venues, but it's a really fantastic 60s vinyl night, and he also sometimes play punk music. He and also Adam did what he does it with, makes sure that it's like a safe environment for women. So I think it's also a lot to do with the promoters working with the venue and the security. So it can be safe. It just, it's not.
Everyone needs to be working together and obviously on the same page. And I guess if you're in a venue which is used and has these sort of events regularly, then that's different to the ones where you might be there once a month or something, and you just happen to be another night when they don't really, they're not really interested. But okay, I think we're on number 6.
Yes.
So
this one is a record called Melvins, which is a Japanese, another girl garage punk. Well, this one is garage punk band. They're from Japan, Tokyo. And this is a record I purchased from Misty, DJ Misty, who runs a beat radio. And she often also does with her husband, Yasu, who runs a really excellent record shop called Night Beat Records in Osaka. So I heard this particular track that I'm about to play, which is Wild Man, at one of the, it's so funny. So she was invited to do a set for the World Goth Day. And she's not really a goth, which is hilarious for her to be asked in the first place anyway. And she was on Twitch. So I was watching and I was training, and she dropped this record. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because it's a cover song by a 60s garage rock band called the Tamarons, which is with the same song to Wild Man, which I love, and it's super uber rare and unaffordable for me. I think it's worth over $1,000 just to buy the record, the 45. Yeah, it's crazy. So this is the second best, And but it's also by, you know, women, so that's also always good. This was from, I think, 2015. This was produced. So yeah, I'll have a listen. So this is, if you're not awake yet, whoever's listening this in the morning, you will be now.
I think it's going to Mr. Lob and Mexi. I think Mexi's.
There you go. Good morning.
That's another great track. I'm going to play this back to my daughter, actually, because I think she's heard some music, but I don't think she's heard this sort of fuzz and garage. She likes Fraulein Freakbeat stuff.
Nice.
So I'd be interested to see what she makes of it.
Yeah.
That. As you mentioned, DJ Misty, I think we need to say congratulations. She had a baby recently, isn't she?
She has a baby, very cute baby. His name is Yoshi. Yes, I mean, this is the thing about pandemic. It was shit. It's still shit because we're still in it, but I'm sure everyone who's listening, and also you as well, Criztoz, you've made so many amazing friendships with DJs that you've never met before. It's kind of like pen pals, you're writing to them and you have this close bond from just sharing the love of music and playing records together. So I met Misty in the pandemic through DJ. Well, I can't remember how I met her, but there's like connection with DJ Honey and Britt, who's and DJ Nico and Britt. I can't remember your DJ name. This is really bad. But Britt, who is part of the Toronto Soul Club, she's fantastic. DJ Blush, thank you, Damon.
Yeah, I thought it was Blush.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Britt. So yeah, and so I've met DJ Misty through DJing, and we've we're really good friends now, and we've been through the journey of her telling us she's pregnant, and then before you know it, she's given birth to this beautiful boy. And I'm looking forward to meeting her in person. But she really went out of her way to look for this for me, and like ask around from like Melvin's mega fan apparently in Australia if he had any spares, because it's not available anymore. You can't buy it anymore. So I thank you so much, Misty. I love you for this. I really appreciate it. So
yeah, that's and again, like you say, it is a little bit like pen pals, isn't it? All these communities and things. Obviously maybe messenger pals, but it's I guess
MSN.
age, sex, location, ASL, and all that sort of stuff. But it's I think for me it's the fact that people are letting you into their studio, into their record room, into their front lounge, into their dining room, or their conservatory or whatever, and you're seeing them in their home environment, and it's still not completely natural, because we were talking about this with Mark Brand last week, and obviously there's still this barrier, and obviously there's the barrier between me and you, and obviously I get nervous, I get anxious about shows, and I'm sure most people do, but it allows us to communicate in a way that before the pandemic none of this existed really in this way. Like live streams happen, but certainly not in this way, and it has been amazing meeting all these people, and and gradually meeting people in person. I mean, yeah, I'm going to see you hopefully at the end of March when we do that event in King's Cross, and some of the other 45 kings and queens that I've met over the last year. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the upside of the pandemic. A lot's happened and it's been a tragedy, but we've got to take the positives, and hopefully this is the start of something new. Hopefully, it will be
Start
something
of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah. I say to my wife, I say, "Oh, it's the start of a new era," and she takes a piss out of me, which is true. She's like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, I mean, live streams, Twitch, these sort of shows. I think they're sort of here, and we'll talk about what you've got coming up after the next record. But yeah, big shout out to everyone who's followed and watched the stream or got in touch or done a mix or been in part of the community. It's been amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Right. Quite an open question. What advice would you have to anyone who wants to get into DJ, be they, male, female, young, old? If someone wants to start DJing, what would your advice or, a couple of tips you would have for them?
I would say the first and foremost is be yourself. Don't try and be someone else. Don't, like copy other people. And then I think it's important for you to have your own voice and style. And I think these things take time. I understand, a lot of people sort of like kind of not copy, but like kind of do something similar in the beginning to sort of find their feet. But I think it's important for you to then kind of find your own way and be yourself in like what you're offering as a DJ. And I think the other thing is also go to clubs, support your DJs, support clubs in your local area, because if you don't support them, they won't exist, and it's really important. And I think when you go to these clubs, you meet the DJs, talk to them, have a chat with them about the music they're playing, or the music your record collection. And I think that's a good start to kind of like be able to foster that friendship. And then, because from there, you when you go to these clubs and you get to know the people, you get to learn the kind of like music the DJs play. And I learn a lot from observing. I'm more of a visualizer as a person. And I think it's important for you to be able to have a relationship with like the people that you want to eventually like play, at the club night or, the bar. So that's why being there, not just once, a number of times is really important. And then, yeah, and like I said, be supportive. Also be always open to learning. I'm still learning. I'm only like a DJ for 4 years now. I'm constantly learning different styles of music, like always learning about like the tools here, all this stuff. So don't be arrogant and think, I've only done this for, 2 years, so I know everything. You don't, because we're always learning. So I think that's to have, leave that sort of like shitty, arrogant attitude at the door, because no one likes, no one likes an arrogant person who thinks they know it all just by doing, doing live streams during the pandemic, and they're like the best DJ ever, because you're not. I'm still learning how to get a crowd going from the start to the end, and that's that's a skill to have.
I mean, yeah, it's a massive skill, isn't it? Especially if you're doing a long set. Say you're doing 3 or 4 hours. I know Mr. Lob does like 5-hour sets at his residency, but you can't just play 4 hours of bangers because it just doesn't work.
No.
So
that's exhausting. If you're a dancer,
you've got to work out, how you're going to do it, and also try and sense the crowd. And obviously, if they're drinking, if they're not drinking, if they are drinking, obviously you can sort of see, them come up and that. But yeah, I think what you're saying is very true. And one of the benefits of the pandemic is being able to watch so many DJs. I'm watching DJs, every day, now. And like you say, it's when you can get out there and see the DJs live. But we've talked about this again on the show. Twitch is for people who haven't been able to go to gigs, who would normally go to gigs, or Mixcloud or YouTube, whatever live stream it is. But it's also, there's a lot of people who just can't. who physically can't get to these because they might have a disability or they may be anxious about being in crowds, and I think it's certainly opened that up. The fact that you can, if you really want to, switch it on and you can watch Jazzy Jeff in your lounge, or you can watch whoever, or you can watch you can watch Valley Freak, but you can watch, and this is something that wasn't available before, and I think is largely here to stay now, which is great. I think, and it just opens everything up, and it brings people to a new audience,
Absolutely.
For yeah. Right. Right, number 7 then. What have you got for number 7?
So I will save your ears, and I won't be playing any more garage rock or garage punk music.
It's been great. I've loved it, and everyone else has loved it, so it's not a problem.
So this is completely different from what you've been listening to so far. This is a record. Well, this came from this album, which is a gift for to me by Miss Soul Turner, who is part of the Los Luros vinyl club in Bogota, Colombia. And this is a very, so when she said, I've never heard of this project. It's a project that was done by a Colombian, I've written it down because I'm not very good with names, but it was Mario Galeano, who's a Colombian musician, and an English producer who's named Will Holland. He's Quantic Soul Orchestra.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
So this is a marriage of tropical Colombian traditional and modern Colombian music with like the cool sounds of London, and it's got a variety of genres there. It's got like hip hop, reggae. It has cumbia music, so it's a really lovely mishmash of fantastic music. And she gifted this to me because I gave her a record to say thank you. And she gave me this record as a thank you back. And she said, I wanted to show you about Colombian music. And, it was just such a beautiful, very thoughtful gift. And in there was this 1 7-inch, which I didn't expect. And it's another cover. And the original is a post-punk band. But I'll play it and see if you can recognize it. I'm sure some of you might perhaps some of you might recognize it, but I'll play it and then you can tell me if you can guess who it's by and the name of it. Okay. So I think
Les has got it.
Well, I've guessed it. Les, legend.
Yeah. Big up, Les.
Well done.
Quantic. I'm a big fan of Quantic. I've seen him in his various collaborations because pretty much every album he does is something slightly different. Quantic Soul Orchestra, and then he's got the cumbia albums, and then he's got some reggae stuff. Some of the reggae stuff he does is amazing as well. But yeah, no, Quantic, I'm a big fan, and I've seen him a few times, and yeah, anytime you get to see him, go and see him. He's just a legendary producer.
So I love Pig Bag as I've seen them live at the jazz club, and I I just wasn't really paying attention. I played this and I was like, oh my God, I can't, it blew my mind. Just this, like the version of it playing with cumbia, you know, like with the drums. Yeah. Incredible.
Again, it's one of the things we talked about as a 45 DJ. You know, I love my covers because you just drop something and it just pricks your ears up. You're like, what, who's this? You know, what is this cover? And I think one of the kings of that is DJ Flip Out, because he does a version excursion. So he'll do like, I don't know how many Stevie Wonder, but he's got so many Stevie Wonder covers, and he'll just play them in back to back. And yeah, it's amazing. Right, that's the 7, but I know you've got a bonus one, but we'll come to that in a minute. But one thing that we need to talk about is obviously your event you've got coming up on 13th of February. So tell us about what the event is, what it's in support of, how people can tune in, and then I'll put the links in the chat as well.
So the event is called Raise the Vibration, and it's in, I'm not a massive fan of Valentine's Day. And it's basically, it's an event that happened on Valentine's Day across the world, but it's also, well, now the organization that's behind it is V-Day, which is a female, well, she is a woman who was a advocate for women's rights, and she started this movement to basically bring, you know, up to start for people to talk about gender-based violence and also do something about it. So it's a fundraiser event that I'm organizing with a number of DJs, and I did it last year, which was a massive success. And we had DJs from like all over the world doing a live stream on the day, and they each do 30 minutes playing female-fronted music of their choice and of different genres. And we all choose a charity that tackles gender-based violence in their own city or country. So, you know, the whole point of the event is to raise awareness as well as to raise money for local causes that actually do work, you know, like local level directly, and with women and children that are in danger from violence. So yes, it's a very important event for me that I do once a year with the help of all the amazing DJs in the Juanita community. It will be in Mixcloud this time. I did it in YouTube last year, and it's it's a challenge doing it on YouTube because they just cut things. So I've decided to do it in Mixcloud this year, and it will start from 1 p.m. GMT.
And what about what DJs have you got lined up for it?
So far confirmed is the DJ Blush, DJ Nico, Babs, who's also from Toronto. And then we have Carolina, Miss Soul Turner from Bogota. And then we have Lewis from Sweden. She's going to bring a few of her friends, female DJ friends. And then to do that with her, she needs to just let me know the names. And then we've got Carolina Dan, who's also from London, Les Petites Feats. Quite a few people who did it last year are doing it again this year, but also a few people who did it last year can't make it for various reasons, like Misty, obviously, because she's given birth and she can't DJ. But yeah,
that's a good excuse. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that you're giving that, you've got a platform, and obviously you're giving something back, and obviously promoting this and hopefully raise some funds, but also it's also the awareness. I think that's the biggest thing that's important, and again it's one of the things I've been proud of that we've been able to do is, we do Sunday Sevens raising awareness of men's mental health. We've done with the 45 Kids raising funds for music therapy charities. And I think it's important that obviously, we give back, and I think it's really good what you're doing. And that's great. I think I caught some of it last year, and I'll definitely tune in again this year. The link's in the chat. So there's a Facebook event group there. I'll put it up on the page again, but yeah, go along that, and hopefully you can tune in this year. I know some of the people in the chat are playing, but hopefully other people can tune in as well.
Thank you.
Which brings us to your bonus round.
Round.
We're not going to do a Mr. Lob. Mr. Lob had about 15 bonus rounds. I think he played about 20 in the end.
What? He had 15 records in the 7 by 7.
He just kept going. We just kept going. I was having a few beers, and it was early morning. He was having coffee, but yeah, go on. Let's have your bonus round
So my bonus round is a gift that was given to me on my birthday last year. Unfortunately, I caught COVID the night before my birthday, and I was meant to DJ at Keb Darge's night. He does 60s garage now. He's no longer doing Northern Soul. He sold all his Northern Soul records, and he has extremely exquisite collection of 60s garage records that are worth a lot of money. So I was really very grateful for him to invite me to play at his night. I mean, it's a dream come true, really, because obviously, as you know, we all know Keb Darge, who he is. He's quite a legend in the music scene. And so we rescheduled. I still played at his night. And then when I showed up, he gave me a stack of records by female artists, Motown records that he had from his collection as just a really lovely birthday gift. And this is one of them. So I will play that for you.
Excellent.
There you go.
That's a great track. That's a lovely one to finish on as well. That was great.
Thank you, Keb.
Yeah, of course. A couple of quick things, and then we'll raid out. Constance says she loves your illustration, and I think there's a little story behind that. Do you want to tell us who did that?
So it's by a tattooist named Steph Jones. And she is a friend of my boyfriend, Damon, who is sitting behind the camera. And he gifted that to me as a surprise present. It wasn't even my birthday. I'm very lucky to have this man in my life. It's taken me 30 years to, no, that's not true. I'm not that old, but quite a long time to find a decent bloke who is a genuinely nice guy. So Steph Jones is a tattooist. I think where is she, Damon?
Eightfold tattoo.
Where?
Eightfold.
Oh, Eightfold. And where's that based? In Cornwall? Devon. Sorry, Devon. She's, if you like the design and want that tattooed on your ass, fine by me. Go ahead. I'll be very happy.
Is it a tattoo that you've actually got?
No, I don't know. I can have a tattoo of my own face on me. That's kind of weird, but I don't know.
Some people do. I don't know. I don't have tattoos. My wife likes tattoos. I haven't got any tattoos, but no, yeah, it's a great design. But yeah, like you say, if anyone wants to get that tattooed, we had quite a cool picture. I think it was Constance's a niece, I think, who drew the one that she had for when we had her on the show. And Rob saying, can the tattoo only be on your ass, or can it be anywhere else?
It can be anywhere. It can be on your chest, anywhere.
Anyway, that's great. Right, I'm just going to set the raid. We're going to go and see Sideshow Mall, who's my moderator and organizes a lot of the events with me, and then we'll have a quick chat, and then we'll fade out. Just make sure that raid's going. Okay, that's cool. It was Constance's niece, Bianca Criztoz, amazing artist. And yeah, big up everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have people who've been on the show, and it's great to have people who've watched the show. It's great to have some people who haven't watched the show before and on there. Really great selections. Thank you so much. Thank you for the chat. Really great stories behind that. And I'll put in the link. There is a load of links there if you want to follow Jawa. We've got the Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, Mixcloud, which is where the event is going to be on the 13th of February. But thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening me prattle on about stuff.
It's been great. It's been great. It's
Thank
really
you.
good, and it's been great listening to music that I haven't heard before and being introduced to stuff that I haven't, and I'm sure everyone else has really enjoyed it. And if you want to watch it back, if you missed any of it, the audio will be on Mixcloud probably tomorrow, and then the video will be on YouTube as well, as are all the other shows that I've done. So thank you once again, Jawa. If you hang on there,
Criztoz. You're a legend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll raid out and we'll have a chat in the green room quickly after that. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Right. I think we're out. Let's end the broadcast.